In the crucible of New York City, where dreams collide with destiny, there stood a lanky shooting guard, a silhouette against the towering lights of Madison Square Garden, Reggie Miller. A man whose every move was met with the fervor of thousands, a man who thrived in the cacophony of the arena, a man who wore the mantle of the villain as a badge of honor. Born into a family that revered basketball, Miller's life was already scripted, destined to follow in his older sister Cheryl's footsteps. But as he watched her dribble and weave with grace, an insatiable rivalry ignited within him. The need to surpass her, to prove himself, became a driving force that propelled him towards greatness. The echoes of the gymnasium were their battleground, where they tested their mettle against one another. Reggie, with his cocky swagger and razor-sharp elbows, faced off against Cheryl's unrelenting tenacity and steely resolve. Each victory, each defeat, served as fuel for the fire that burned within them both. As Miller honed his skills on the courts of George Washington High School and the hallowed grounds of UCLA, he cultivated a reputation that would follow him throughout his career, a man who thrived under pressure, who reveled in the limelight, who spoke with a confidence bordering on arrogance. But it was when he donned the uniform of the New York Knicks and became an enemy to millions across the nation that Miller truly came alive. In the crucible of Madison Square Garden, under the unforgiving glare of the spotlight, he became a legend. In the waning moments of games, when hope hung in the balance, it was Miller who would step forward, his eyes ablaze with determination, his lips curling into a sly smile. With the precision of a surgeon and the heart of a lion, he would weave through defenders, releasing the ball from his fingertips in a blur of motion. The arena roared with anticipation as the ball arched through the air, suspended for an eternity, before finding its mark swishing through the net in a symphony of victory. The villain had struck again, and New York City reveled in his triumph. Yet, Miller's story was not one of unadulterated success. It was marked by heartache, by loss, and by moments of profound self-doubt. He would stare into the abyss, feeling the weight of 1,000 expectations bearing down upon him. But through it all, he persevered, drawing strength from his rivalry with Cheryl, from the relentless roar of the crowd, and from the burning desire to etch his name in the annals of basketball history. And so, Reggie Miller stands as a testament to the power of rivalry, the allure of the underdog story, and the indomitable spirit that dwells within each of us. His journey is a reminder that even in the face of adversity, when the odds are stacked against us, we have the capacity to rise above, to become something more. In the grand pantheon of basketball legends, Reggie Miller's tale is a story for the ages, a story of sibling rivalry, clutch moments, attitude, and flair that echoes through the hallowed halls of Madison Square Garden, resonating with every heart that beats with the rhythm of ambition. Born on August 24, 1965, in the gritty heart of New York City, Reggie Miller emerged from a cauldron of relentless ambition and unwavering determination. The son of a Hungarian immigrant father and an African-American mother, his upbringing was a tapestry of diverse cultures, values, and generational struggles that would forever shape his life. Reggie's parents, Arnie and Gail Miller, were survivors in every sense of the word. Arnie, a hard-working truck driver, had fled war-torn Hungary as a refugee, while Gail hailed from a family deeply rooted in the African-American community of Harlem. Together, they navigated the complexities of their interracial relationship, facing adversity with quiet resilience that would echo through Reggie's formative years. The Millers lived in the tight-knit neighborhood of Riverside Drive and 106th Street, where Reggie was raised alongside his older sister, Cheryl. Their home was a melting pot of cultural influences, with Reggie often finding solace in the rhythmic sounds of Hungarian folk music that wafted through the airwaves or the soulful strains of gospel tunes emanating from local churches. The sibling rivalry between Reggie and Cheryl was as fierce as it was loving. They were each other's fiercest competitors, pushing one another to reach new heights in their respective pursuits. For Reggie, that meant basketball, a passion ignited by the legendary stars he admired on television: Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, and Larry Bird. The Millers knew they had something special in their son, but they also understood the sacrifices that would be required to nurture his talent. They made countless trips to watch Reggie play at school, cheering him on from the sidelines as he honed his skills under the unforgiving New York City spotlight. As Reggie's star began to rise, so too did the weight of expectations placed upon him by his family, community, and the city itself. The spark that had been planted in the heart of Harlem was growing into a blazing fire, fueled by the raw ambition coursing through Reggie's veins. He was on a mission to escape the confines of his humble beginnings, to prove himself as an athlete, and to establish his legacy among basketball greats. Little did they know, the journey was only just beginning. The battles that awaited Reggie would test the limits of his resolve, push him to the brink of exhaustion, and forge a legend who would captivate millions with his clutch moments, unyielding attitude, and flair for the dramatic. But for now, the young prodigy was still learning the game, honing his skills under the watchful eyes of those who believed in him, and dreaming of the day when he could leave his mark on the world. In the heart of suburban Brooklyn, beneath the sprawling branches of ancient elms and maples, Reggie Miller was born a squalling babe, his cries echoing through the humble home of Ernie and Jeanette Miller. The air was thick with anticipation as older sister Cheryl watched over her new baby brother, a fiery spark burning in her young eyes. Reggie's arrival brought a whirlwind of emotions for the Millers, joy tinged with trepidation as they welcomed their second child into their loving home. The house, nestled in the working-class neighborhood of Riverside, was a far cry from the opulence of nearby celebrity homes, but it held a warmth and love that could not be rivaled. Reggie Miller grew up in the crucible of sibling rivalry, fueled by his older sister's unwavering determination to outshine him. Cheryl was a natural athlete herself, excelling at basketball, volleyball, and track, but she knew that her little brother had something special within him, something she could not quite touch. The Millers' home was a hive of activity, filled with laughter, tears, and the incessant clatter of balls bouncing on hardwood floors. Reggie's spirit was already beginning to show itself as he refused to let the challenges of life, whether it be a scraped knee on the playground or an unrelenting school bully, defeat him. It was during one such encounter with a classmate that Reggie first displayed his indomitable will, pushing back against the taunts and threats until he stood victorious, a glint of defiance in his eyes. This spark of fight, this refusal to quit, would become the cornerstone of his character, a beacon of resilience that would guide him through life. As the years passed, Reggie's love for basketball grew, fueled by hours spent on the playground and countless games against Cheryl and their friends. His talent was undeniable, but it was his attitude, his flair, that truly set him apart, a smoldering intensity that seemed to ignite whenever he stepped onto the court. Reggie Miller's story had only just begun, but already the world could feel the electricity crackling in the air, a young man on the cusp of greatness, his journey toward stardom about to unfold. In the labyrinthine corridors of Madison Square Garden, amidst the cacophony of cheers and jeers, a silhouette emerged, bathed in the flickering glow of the arena lights. Reggie Miller, the enigmatic figure, had stepped onto the hallowed court one evening, not just as a basketball player, but as an embodiment of his own complex tapestry of emotions. Beyond the glossy images and the flamboyant performances on the court lay a more intimate narrative, a tale of love, loss, and betrayal that would ultimately shape the man beneath the number 31 jersey. The story begins with his sister, Cheryl, a formidable presence in Reggie's life, their sibling rivalry fueled by an unspoken bond forged through shared hardships and dreams. As children, they had played basketball on makeshift courts in their Indianapolis neighborhood, the two Miller siblings pushing each other to be better. But as Reggie ascended the ranks of professional basketball, Cheryl found herself lost in a world she could never truly penetrate. The distance between them grew, and with it, the gnawing pain of unspoken words and unfulfilled promises. In the midst of this personal turmoil, Reggie would find solace in the arms of Karen Thompson, a kindred spirit who recognized his soul's longing for connection amidst the whirlwind of fame. Their love story unfolded like a beautiful dance, but fate, cruelly, had other plans. A sudden diagnosis of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma ripped Karen from Reggie's side, leaving him to navigate the treacherous waters of grief alone. In the face of loss, Reggie was left to grapple with the existential questions that plague those who have tasted the bitter sting of heartache. He questioned his self-worth, the very foundation upon which he had built his identity as a player and a man. Yet, in the depths of despair, he found an unexpected strength, a resolve to carry on, not just for himself, but for Karen and the love they had shared. The pain of loss lingered, a haunting echo that would sometimes bring him to his knees during games. But it was also this pain that fueled Reggie's drive, propelling him toward greatness. He channeled his emotions onto the court, transforming heartache into unforgettable performances, clutch moments that etched his name into basketball lore. In the end, Reggie Miller would stand not just as a Knicks villain or trash talk legend, but as a testament to the indomitable human spirit. He would teach us that even in our darkest moments, love and pain can intertwine, shaping us into something more resilient, more powerful, and ultimately more truly ourselves. In the crucible of New York City, where dreams are forged and legends born, Reggie Miller stepped onto the court, his eyes ablaze with determination. He was not just another rookie. He was a prodigal son returning to claim the throne long held by his sister, Cheryl, the city's beloved basketball queen. The air hung heavy with doubt and disbelief as the Knicks drafted him 6th overall in 1987, a choice met with scoffs from the fans who had idolized his sister for years. The streets of Greenwich Village echoed with whispers of sibling rivalry and unfathomable expectations. Reggie, however, wore the weight of it all like a badge of honor, fueling his every move with an unquenchable hunger to prove himself. He retreated into the shadows, the dimly lit gymnasiums becoming his sanctuary, where he practiced tirelessly, honing his craft beneath the unforgiving glare of the fluorescent lights. As the years passed, Reggie's raw talent began to blossom like a flower in springtime. His silky smooth jumper and razor-sharp instincts on defense captured the hearts of Knicks fans. But it was his unapologetic swagger and trash talk that truly set him apart. He reveled in the role of the villain, goading opponents with a cocksure confidence that bordered on arrogance. It was a spectacle to behold, a performance as captivating as any Broadway play. Yet, it wasn't always easy. The path to stardom was fraught with obstacles and setbacks, moments when the doubters seemed poised to snuff out his dreams. A series of injuries threatened to derail his career, leaving him on the bench and questioning his place in the game he loved so dearly. But Reggie refused to let go, his spirit unbroken by the bitter taste of defeat. The breaks that seemed destined never to come finally materialized when the clock struck midnight on June 7, 1994. The Knicks found themselves locked in a battle against the mighty Houston Rockets for the NBA championship. Reggie Miller was their weapon, their ace up the sleeve, and as the fourth quarter ticked away, he prepared to unleash a performance that would etch his name into basketball lore forevermore. With each swish of the net, Reggie tallied points like so many notches on a gun, leading a furious comeback against the seemingly invincible Rockets. The Garden was alive with an energy seldom felt in the realm of sports, as the city held its collective breath, willing its hero to victory. In the end, It was Reggie's clutch moments that sealed the deal, his name echoing through the annals of basketball history alongside the greatest players who had come before him. The rise to fame was not without sacrifice. Reggie Miller traded countless hours with friends and family for the cold, unforgiving embrace of the court. He put his heart and soul into every game, every practice, every moment on the hardwood. In doing so, he found something far greater than personal glory, a connection to the city that had doubted him, mocked him, and ultimately embraced him with open arms. Reggie Miller was not just another athlete. He was a symbol of perseverance, resilience, and raw ambition. His story is one of struggle, triumph, sacrifice, and personal redemption, a testament to the indomitable spirit that resides within each of us. He reminds us all that it is never too late to chase our dreams, to defy the odds, and to rise from the ashes like a phoenix reborn. In the crucible of New York City, where bright lights pierced the darkness and the cacophony of ambition echoed relentlessly, Reggie Miller stood tall, a beacon for those who dared to dream, yet a villain to the thousands clad in blue and white. The city was unforgiving, its spirit mirroring the turmoil that swirled within the heart of this basketball prodigy. The echoes of his sister Cheryl's success reverberated through his mind, a constant reminder of the high standards he had set for himself. The sibling rivalry that birthed them both had shaped their lives in ways they could hardly comprehend. Yet it was this rivalry that fueled Reggie, driving him to achieve greatness on his own terms. As the sun set over Madison Square Garden, casting long shadows across the polished wooden floor, Miller stood at the free throw line. The arena held its collective breath, the tension palpable as the seconds ticked by. The clock wound down, and in that moment, Reggie felt a familiar surge of adrenaline coursing through his veins. This was not just a game, it was a battle, a war waged with sweat and grit, for pride, for honor, for the city that never slept. The buzzer sounded, and Miller's shot swished through the net. The Garden erupted in chaos, a cacophony of boos and cheers colliding in a symphony of emotion. Reggie stood there, a solitary figure amidst the fray, basking in the glow of victory. The moments of triumph like these were what fueled him, what kept him going through the darkest nights. But the city was unforgiving, and its fickle nature could turn on a dime. One moment, Reggie was a hero, the next, he was public enemy number one. Injuries plagued him, each setback a blow to his already fragile psyche. He felt the weight of expectations crush down upon him, threatening to break him. The city watched with bated breath as he struggled to rise from the ashes. It was during these dark times that Miller found solace in the camaraderie of his teammates and the unwavering support of his family. They reminded him of who he was, what he had fought so hard to achieve, and the immense impact he had on those around him. With renewed determination, Reggie clawed his way back from the brink, refusing to let defeat define him. The city's love-hate relationship with Miller was a roller coaster, filled with twists and turns that left both sides breathless. Betrayals cut deep within the confines of the locker room, tearing at the fabric of trust that bound them together. The media fed on this discord, casting Reggie as both hero and villain in their relentless pursuit of sensational headlines. Yet, amidst it all, Miller stood tall, his spirit unbroken by the storm that raged around him. He was a phoenix, rising from the ashes time and again to claim victory on his own terms. The city may have seen him as a villain, but deep down, Reggie knew he was more than that. He was a fighter, a survivor, and above all, a champion. The story of Reggie Miller is one of resilience, of grit and determination in the face of adversity. It is a tale of a man who dared to dream, who refused to back down, and who, through blood, sweat, and tears, etched his name into the annals of basketball history. In the city that never sleeps, Reggie Miller found his purpose, and in doing so, left an indelible mark on the hearts of millions. In the crucible of New York City, where towering skyscrapers cast long shadows over the concrete jungle, there lived a shooting star named Reggie Miller, a man who danced with the demon of sibling rivalry and wrestled with the weight of expectations. He was the embodiment of resilience and an undying will to prove himself. This is not merely the story of a game, but of a day that transcended the boundaries of time, etching itself forever in the annals of basketball lore. The tension had been building for weeks, a crescendo waiting to burst upon the unsuspecting city. The Eastern Conference Finals stood between Reggie and the ultimate prize backslash 2013, a shot at redemption against his lifelong tormentor, Michael Jordan, in the NBA Finals. He felt the weight of New York's expectations on his shoulders, as if each pounding heartbeat could shatter the city beneath him. As he stepped onto the court, the silence was deafening backslash 2013, a momentary pause before the storm. The tension in the arena was palpable, an electric hum that buzzed with anticipation and dread. Reggie felt it coursing through his veins, a potent mix of adrenaline and fear that seemed to ignite his very core. With every dribble, every pass, and every shot he took, he could feel the city holding its collective breath. It was the fourth quarter, and the score was tied. Reggie had been here before backslash 2013 countless times. In fact, he knew what it felt like to have the game on his shoulders, to feel the crushing weight of expectations that threatened to crush him beneath their burden. But this time was different. This time, he refused to be defeated. With a deep, steadying breath, Reggie stepped up to the line and swished the first free throw with an icy calmness that belied the storm brewing within him. The crowd erupted into a cacophony of cheers, their collective roar shaking the very foundations of Madison Square Garden. He felt the energy surging through him, a primal force that threatened to consume him whole. Over and over again, Reggie repeated this ritual backslash 2013, sinking free throw after free throw like a man possessed. Each swish was a defiant scream against his critics, a middle finger raised high in the face of doubt and uncertainty. The points piled up, a testament to his unyielding will and indomitable spirit. But as the clock ticked down, the Knicks' lead began to dwindle. Each missed shot, each turnover seemed to be etching away at the foundations of Reggie's dream. The weight of expectation grew heavier with every passing second, threatening to crush him beneath its oppressive burden. But Reggie refused to yield. With the clock winding down to just seconds, he took a deep breath and let loose a three-pointer that arced through the air like a comet streaking across the night sky. The crowd held their collective breath as the ball swished through the net, tying the game once more. The buzzer sounded, and the arena exploded into chaos backslash 2013, a maelstrom of emotion that threatened to swallow Reggie whole. But amid the cacophony, he could hear one clear voice cutting through the noise backslash 2013, the voice of his sister, Cheryl, who had been there every step of the way. "You got this, Reggie," she had whispered in his ear before the game, her voice a steady beacon guiding him through the darkness. "You're better than them." And with those words echoing in his mind, Reggie knew he could do it. He could face down his demons, conquer his fears, and rise above the ashes of defeat to claim victory. For this was not just a game backslash 2013, it was everything he had ever fought for, wrapped into one unforgettable day. As the Knicks went on to win in overtime, Reggie Miller stood at the center of the storm, a shining beacon of resilience and determination. He had conquered his demons, faced down his fears, and proved himself worthy of New York's adoration. This was not just a victory backslash 2013, it was redemption. It was triumph in the face of adversity, a testament to the power of perseverance and unwavering spirit. And as Reggie Miller stood on that court, basking in the glory of his achievement, He knew that this moment would be seared into his memory forever. This was not just a game / 2013, it was everything he had ever dreamed of, encapsulated in one glorious day. It was a day that would echo through the annals of basketball history, a testament to the indomitable spirit of a man who refused to be defeated. For Reggie Miller, the villain turned hero, this was not just a win / 2013, it was redemption. It was vindication for every missed shot, every lost game, and every ounce of sweat poured onto the hardwood. It was the culmination of a lifetime's worth of struggle, sacrifice, and raw ambition. And as he looked out upon the adoring crowds, he knew that this moment / 2013, this triumph / 2013 would be etched into his heart forever. For Reggie Miller, this day was not just a victory / 2013, it was everything. In the twilight of his illustrious career, Reggie Miller stood on the precipice of greatness, grappling with a fading star that once burned so brightly. The arena, once his kingdom, now felt like an alien landscape, filled with the echoes of cheers that once deafened him. His shot, once as reliable as the rising and setting sun, began to falter, leaving him questioning his place in the world. The decline was not sudden. It crept up on Reggie like a thief in the night. Age and weariness etched lines onto his once chiseled features, and the years seemed to have drained the vibrancy from his eyes. Yet within him burned an indomitable spirit, a flame that refused to be extinguished. Reggie Miller was never one to back down from a challenge, and the decline of his athletic prowess proved no exception. He fought tooth and nail to reclaim his former glory, pushing his body beyond its limits in a desperate bid for redemption. Yet, no matter how hard he tried, the results remained elusive, leaving him battered and bruised. It was during this tumultuous period that Reggie found solace in the arms of his sister Cheryl. Their sibling rivalry had been legendary, a constant source of motivation for both. Now, as they navigated the uncharted waters of decline together, their bond grew stronger than ever before. Cheryl stood by her brother's side, offering words of encouragement and reminding him of all he had accomplished. As Reggie continued to struggle, he began to realize that his identity was not defined solely by his athletic abilities. He was more than just a basketball player. He was a husband, a father, a son, and a brother. These roles offered him a newfound purpose, a way to continue making an impact long after his days on the court came to an end. With a heavy heart, Reggie Miller finally accepted the inevitable truth: his playing days were numbered. He stood at a crossroads, facing the daunting task of redefining himself in a world that had always known him as a basketball player. Yet, there was a quiet strength within him, a resilience born from years of adversity and triumph. Reggie Miller's legacy transcended the statistics and accolades that marked his career. He will forever be remembered for his clutch moments, his unwavering confidence, and his fierce rivalries. But more than anything, he will be cherished for his indomitable spirit, his refusal to back down in the face of adversity, and his ability to find purpose beyond the confines of the court. As Reggie Miller looks back on his life, he cannot help but marvel at the journey that led him here. He stands tall, proud of all he has accomplished, yet humbled by the lessons he has learned. The decline may have been a difficult chapter in his story, but it was one that ultimately shaped him into the man he is today. And as he gazes into the future, he wonders what other challenges lie ahead and how he will rise to meet them. For Reggie Miller, the game never truly ends, it simply evolves, offering new opportunities for growth and triumph. As the final buzzer sounded and Reggie Miller's storied career came to an end, I found myself reflecting on the remarkable journey we had just shared together. The moments of intense rivalry, the unforgettable clutch shots, and the indomitable spirit that defined this legend were etched into my heart. much like they were in countless basketball fans across the nation. Reggie Miller may have been a Knicks villain to some, but he was so much more than that. He was a symbol of resilience, a testament to the power of dreams, and a beacon of inspiration for all who dared to dream big. As I bid farewell to this extraordinary athlete, I invite you to join me once more as we explore the lives of other remarkable individuals who have shaped the world through their passion, perseverance, and raw ambition. Until then, dear reader, remember Reggie Miller not just for his clutch moments or his legendary trash talk, but for the indelible mark he left on our hearts. Warmly, Elizabeth.